And this time around, we are having a power-packed, intimate fireside chat session between Eric Anziani, Chief Operating Officer of Crypto.com, and our moderator for today is John Lagman, APAC Crypto Lead, Bloomberg. So I believe gentlemen are all set to join us on stage. Shall we give them a big round of applause? And Eric's all well-dressed for this session. Matchy colors with our backdrop there. Have a good session, guys.
Thank you everyone for coming. I know it's been a great few days and stuff, so we're really happy to see everyone. Maybe I'll introduce myself first. John Lagman, I run crypto strategy in APAC for Bloomberg. Been there 8 years. Prior to that, I was a long-time TradFi, FX options traders, hedge funds, and banks. So, and I'm very happy to have with us, obviously he was introduced already, but Eric Anziani, the COO of Crypto.com. He's been with, I guess in Singapore about 11 years, with PayPal, and then, I always get this wrong, Global Fashion, Group, okay. And then obviously with Crypto.com and stuff. So, anything I missed that you wanted to add or anything, or no? Okay, so I mean, why don't we just get right into it? As if you guys have been, hopefully you watch, read the news or watch the news or whatnot, and it's been, I guess, a great 6 to 8 weeks for Crypto.com. From, I believe it was your 6-year anniversary. Then, congratulations, you got your PSA license. You also had regulatory approval, in Greece, Italy, and the latest I read was Cyprus and stuff. So, I mean, given all that, is there anything you wanted to, a lot of good things have come out. Anything you wanted to discuss further? Oh, I'm sorry, and I also forgot you were recently in Versailles with the President Macron of France at an investment conference and stuff. So, a whirlwind kind of 8 weeks. Anything you wanted to elaborate on?
No, thanks, John, for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here at the Singapore Blockchain Week, and really also want to thank Hoklai and the BAS team to have organized such a wonderful event. Indeed, we just celebrated last month our 6-year anniversary. So Crypto.com was founded in 2016. But we actually launched our first product only in 2018. So it took us more than 2 years to get our card product live. Right in Singapore, actually. That was our first market where we launched our first product. Since then, so much has happened in the industry and for Crypto.com. From this first payment product, we built a full-fledged ecosystem ranging from trading, finance, blockchain, NFT, and Web3 opportunities. We also started on a journey to build a global and trusted brand, really to help our mission, which is to bring cryptocurrency to every wallet. We will not rest until billions of users globally use crypto for their day-to-day needs. It's true that as an industry and Crypto.com, we've made some progress over the last 6 years. Today, I was looking at the latest report from our research team. There's about 350 million users globally who use crypto for day-to-day needs. It's the start, but there's still a long way to go to get to full ubiquity of using cryptocurrency for retail and institutional clients. So still some work to be done. For us, and to maybe build on the recent achievement that we had, I want to say we started to build Crypto.com with 2 foundational pillars. One is compliance, the second one is security. We invested tremendous amounts of resources, people, processes, and heavy engagement with regulators across the globe and in all the key markets where we were operating. Throughout the years, we received licenses in Europe, in US, in Australia. And it's true that over the last few weeks, we had some long pending applications that matured. And I was very honored, and Crypto.com was, to receive the in-principle approval for the major payment institutions license in Singapore under the PSA framework. It's been massive and extremely constructive engagement with the MAS throughout the years, and we're keen to move into that next step in our journey and continue working with the regulator, with the association to improve the space, make sure there's innovation happening, and at the same time that we're able to protect customers. In Europe, we recently got the registration for Greece, Cyprus, and Italy, so there was good progress. And also in Dubai. 2 months ago, we got our VARA license that we're working to make operational. So a lot of great progress on the compliance front, still a journey. Maybe one point on security. Second pillar of the business. I think the way we can look at the investment that we made and how it pans out, it's mostly through the certification we have received. So we were the first fintech company in Singapore to get the Data Trust Mark Protection certification. And throughout the year, we got ISO, NIST, PCI DSS, SOC 2 type of licenses, mostly to make sure we can protect from a cybersecurity and from a data privacy standpoint our customer data and assets. So we've invested a lot in both, and I think the last few weeks was a reflection and maybe the testament of that investment over the years.
Actually, it was quite interesting. One thing you said about security, I was actually thinking about something we have. And just to be clear, anything I say is my own view, nothing to do with my company. Okay. You know, everyone when they think about security, they're like, okay, we can't get hacked. But for example, if you read the recent, I won't name them, the gaming company, it wasn't actually a hack into the hardware, software, or anything, or the code. It was more someone sent a phishing kind of email. Is there something with as you grow and you have more and more people in different areas? Have you looked into processes? So I can say, like at a firm I'm at, for example, they'll even like test you with like sample phishing kind of emails and see if you report it or you click on it or whatnot. Have you looked into kind of processes which can also be a security issue?
Definitely, and I think to get some of those certifications, you actually need to have these processes in place. First of all, it's about people security. So we are training all our employees every month on how to protect themselves, whether it's phishing, malicious attacks, and other type of security threats. So that's a continuous process, and we do test afterwards. And if people fail the test, then they have to retrain and get further guidance. So it is a continuous effort that you have to go through. You also need to educate your customers and your partners. So we have found ways to put tools in the hands of our customers so they can protect themselves better. For phishing attacks, for example, we have what we call an Anti-Phishing Code. Oh. So within your app, you can set a code that is just known to you. And when you receive an email from Crypto.com, you'll see that code. And you know it's only from us. It's not from a third party. And we also incentivize people to try. We have gamified mission to help people set up those features, set up 2FA. So it's they learn, and at the same time, they get some rewards as well to better protect themselves.
I see. Actually, I was thinking, do you actually send out emails kind of warning your clients? One of my banking accounts, I always get this like SMS saying, beware of phishing scams. I won't name which bank, but pretty large one here. I mean, because the education, which I thought was quite interesting. Normally you think about education of your employees, but it's also about your customers, right?
Yeah, definitely. And you can see on Twitter and on social and sometimes through email or within our app, we remind our customers that there is phishing attacks that are potentially out there and how to protect themselves. And there's many different threat vectors. I won't cover them all. But for all, we try to find ways to educate and provide the best practices and also incentivize people to do this, go along with these best practices.
Right. So, one thing, if you look back on the last 2 years, I mean, obviously from the end of 2020, we had a bull market through 21. Obviously, this year has been a crypto winter. Everyone knows about I was going to say Jason Bourne, it's really Matt Damon and about Fortune and the Brave. But one thing I was looking at, one of your core values is think clearly. And I was curious, how did you kind of approach things, let's say, when it was a bull market, to make sure, and it's another key word for you guys, think, be humble. Not get too into the froth, but at the same time, now that things don't look so good, not to get too kind of negative and stuff. Are there certain ways you've tried to approach the last 2 years? I mean, obviously the whole Luna 3 arrows and all that is maybe in some ways unprecedented, maybe just the size or and stuff.
You mentioned a few concepts that are very core to our culture at Crypto.com. Be humble, think clearly, and also, in a sense, dream big when we launch into some of these campaigns. I'll focus on two, maybe. Dream big and then the being humble point, I think, which is critical. In an industry that is nascent and fast-growing, you don't know exactly what use case is going to work. So you need to have a clear vision, and you need to take chances and make commitment for the long term in things you may not know whether it's going to work or not. Whether it's 2-3 years of investment in R&D to launch a card product or to launch a new public blockchain, these investments require a vision and it requires commitment. And that's what we tie to the dreaming big. I think there's a little bit of naivety also, especially as an entrepreneur. You set a goal, something that is maybe extremely hard to do, but you think you can do it. And then through the years, there's a lot of obstacles that come your way, and you solve them one by one to get to that product, and then you learn from the market and iterate from there. Dreaming big and growing doesn't mean you grow at all cost. Yep. You do have to build on a foundation that is solid. And for us, our foundation is compliance and security. So even if we had tremendous growth journey, we, for example, as an anecdote, from day one, we decided to KYC 100% of our users. That meant a lot of friction on the funnel to get customers to discover our products. And we lost a lot of customers and growth through that. But we felt if we want to achieve that big dream, it's going to take 5, 10, maybe 20 years to get there. It's a big, major technology trends we're working on. It takes time. You want to build a sustainable business that is there throughout so you can achieve your vision. So you have to make some trade-off, whether it's risk management, whether it's compliance. You have sometimes to be a bit conservative and make sure you have a solid foundation to build upon. On the point of being humble, I'll get to the impact of it. I think for us, it enables our organization to be extremely focused on delivering value to customers. That's the main focus. At the same time, it also enables us to never be satisfied on what we deliver, whether it's a feature, a full product, and be able to listen, whether to our customers or more broadly to our stakeholders, whether they're regulators, they're partners. We always want to do better, and it's very true to Crypto.com. When we launch something, the minute is out is what's next? How can we improve it? How do we do better? And I think having that value that enables us to take that feedback, to be humble, listen, and try to improve, I think is quite critical, and it's something that keeps us hungry.
So I guess on the compliance or regulatory angle, obviously we were talking about earlier how Greece, Italy, and Cyprus. I mean, I believe you're heavily involved in that. I mean, are you on the road most of the time? Is this something that, obviously since compliance is so important, even with your different offices, is it constantly traveling? Well, COVID allowable, of course.
First of all, I have to say that I'm very honored to be working with such great teams in markets that are driving some of these licensing and engagements with regulator. I think licensing one thing. We're doing a lot more policy work these days, where we work with regulator, we provide feedback, we're a sounding board to shape new policies for the sector. So I think that's taking a lot more of our time, and I'm happy when I have the time to go and help the local teams and meet the relevant stakeholders on the regulator side, on the government side, to convey our message and help connect the dots. But I would say most of the work is done by our teams on the ground.
Wow. So actually, it's interesting. Normally, when people think about partnerships, they think of something more commercial. But it sounds like the way you kind of approach even the regulatory, it's a kind of like a. Would you say? Is it fair to say like a partnership in a sense?
Definitely. It's still a new sector. It's still a nascent asset class. I think there's a lot more education that has reached regulators and then institutional partners that we work with already. But it's still evolving very fast, and it's good to have that engagement. And we provide and we do our little contribution to share how the industry see the evolution, what would make sense for customers, to make sure the ecosystem grow, and for government at the end of the day to generate economic activity, jobs, employment, and drive GDP and value for their citizens. So we're really thinking through those lenses and help government navigate these challenges and take advantage of this Web3 opportunity.
Is there any region I don't know if I hate to ask, any kind of region that's actually surprised you with regards to their openness or their to learn more and or like become a partner that maybe at face value when you first were thinking, let's say at end of 2021, you didn't think so, but they actually kind of pleasantly surprised you?
Yeah, so first of all, you have the pioneers in the regulatory front. I think Singapore is one of the first country and regulator, the MAS, to have come up with a fit-for-purpose regulation for digital asset or digital payment tokens, DPT. So having that foresight and being able to provide regulatory clarity for players was a great move. France also set up a regime very early on for what they call DASP. That was also fit for purpose. So there's a few countries out there that was very early on thinking of building something custom-made that fits the industry needs. And I think those are extremely important and will remain very relevant in the future. In my recent trips, I was quite surprised by Dubai and the energy level and the willingness also of the regulators to shape the regulation based on all these learnings and industry inputs very much. So that was for me quite fascinating to discover, to see also the engagement from and the movement of a lot of companies out there and the willingness to partner. That was a highlight.
Well, I think in the interest of time, I'm being asked to go into Q&A, but it was something I wanted to ask you anyways. Maybe I guess in terms of like what you can say, obviously, kind of long-term roadmap, or are there any kind of things that either are really keeping you up in an excited kind of way, or unfortunately maybe a very scared kind of way? Anything coming up that you could talk about with regards to a roadmap?
Sure. I think we have to go back to our mission, which is to bring cryptocurrency to every wallet. So I'm always thinking, what's the next use case to drive adoption? Today we have 350 million users globally as an industry. How do we get to 1 billion? How do we get to 2 billion? I think there's probably two major use cases where we have strong hope and we're bullish about that will drive the industry forward. The first one is gaming. We've seen already quite a few experiments in the space, ups and downs. I don't think we have found yet the recipe for the right gameplay and how Web3 is used and embedded in games, but I'm convinced it will come, whether from a big studio or a small studio or a blockchain company, and that will drive hundreds of millions of users to the space. The second one I have also strong conviction on is around social networks or social fi. The early sign is that you can see Web2 companies trying to embed some Web3 element, mostly through NFT today, into their product. It means there is a demand and they know it's happening. My sense is it will probably be something new that will come up that will drive this wave of adoption, but we'll see. I think those two use cases for retail are what excites me a lot. If we look at institutions, there's maybe not as sexy use cases, but they're very important. I think we still need to do some progress on custody, regulatory framework for that, as well as tools that are more convenient. And then we need to move to more traditional tools like prime brokerage that allows the bigger institutions to come in and deploy capital more safely and manage that capital more efficiently. And so those are the kind of the two use cases that are already out there, but I expect with regulatory clarity, especially in the US, will help drive adoption, and we're working through those.
It's interesting you mentioned gaming. I was telling you earlier, I met, he seems to be very strong in this area, Ben Wee from your Crypto.com capital. So I gave him a little shout out there if he's listening. He should be. If he's not, someone hit him on the head and say, hey, they mentioned you.
Just to build on that, and Ben is a great guy and doing an amazing job at Crypto.com Capital, which is our investment venture arm. We're also investing and supporting founders of all these new projects in gaming, in social fi, and of course DeFi, which will remain there. And we're supporting them first with funding, but then connectivity with our 50 million user ecosystem and our properties.
Great. Wow. I don't think we'll even be able to reach all these, hit all these questions. Next thing, obviously, if we think globally, you guys are synonymous or have been partnering on the advertising side with a lot of big kind of exposure type communities. So UFC, obviously there's the LA Lakers. One of the questions has been, how's that, from a KPI or whatever your regional metrics were. Also the Super Bowl, obviously. Have they met your kind of KPI, or even more interesting, if they exceeded it in some way?
I think when we embark in that journey to partner with global brands, our goal, and remains the same, is to start conveying what we stand for as Crypto.com as a brand, and start building on our side a trusted and global brand. So metrics will be more around awareness, positive sentiment, aided or unaided, and that's what we track. We work with partners that are a very strong reputation, that have values that are aligned with us in terms of innovation, breakthrough technology, and also have wide reach and audience that partially overlap with the crypto industry. And for us, it's really a way to explain to the world what is Crypto.com, what are we trying to do, which is basically to empower creators, users, and developers to build on Web3 and to create a new ecosystem where everybody can share the value more fairly and more equitably compared to Web2 today.
Great. Earlier, obviously, we're talking about regulations. Another question that just came up was, what have been so I know we've been talking about the more positive parts about it, but what are some of the biggest challenges, in addition to, say, regulation, that you guys have found as a firm?
On the regulation side? Or?
I guess, or outside of regulation, yeah.
Well, it's an extremely fast-growing industry, and there's so much, and even for industry insider to be able to keep up and make sure we remain relevant is a challenge every day. We need to connect with a new project, we need to understand what's going to be the next trend, and we need to listen to our customers globally to see what product we can improve. That is, in our industry, extremely challenging because of the pace of innovation we're in. A lot of items are open source, people can build and iterate so fast, and there's so much talent coming to the space. There's so much capital being invested that things are moving at a very rapid pace. So it's something that we have to keep up with. It is definitely a challenge.
Do you actually find that, now that things have kind of calmed down in this kind of winter, are you seeing more and more interesting things from projects or things to do than you have both time and personnel resources to actually address,
There's a few positives in bear markets, and some of it is focus and the ability to build and be just focused on building product that makes sense. Also, folks that are joining our ecosystem and our space have to have strong fundamentals and clear vision. The hype is not there anymore, so you need to have the fundamentals. You need a real use case. You need to solve a pain point or a need from a customer and use digital assets and Web3 to tackle those needs or challenges. So going back to the fundamentals, being able to focus and build and not be distracted, I think is a very strong positive. And as a company, we're remaining extremely focused to continue doing that, to build the next wave when the market comes back.
Okay. Actually, something I was thinking about earlier, which you kind of alluded to with regards to the talent and stuff. A friend of mine, Daniel LeBeau of Modular, was talking earlier, and he said, there needs to be, or there will be a lot of quality of people that will be coming into, or that's actually needed in this area. Have you seen actually, with even with things kind of slowing down, that the talent level from has the people that are looking for jobs has actually gone to a higher level?
It definitely was the case last year. Still relevant this year, but I think people are hiring maybe a bit less.
Yeah.
But yes, I think that has been incredible. People from traditional finance, from the Goldman, the JP Morgans, people from Web2, from Facebook, from Google, the influx of talent has been tremendous. The number of applications we have received, the quality of the applications has been incredible. So talent is definitely there. And capital has been there. There's been almost $30 billion over the last 12 months invested in the crypto space. It's massive. Capital plus talent will mean we will crack those use cases and the space will grow, whether it's gaming, social fi, or trading. There will be new use cases that will drive adoption forward.
I see. Earlier you talked about, for example, obviously you're at 350 million users, and you have a goal for, say, 1 billion. Is there kind of a unwritten kind of time frame you're looking at, for example? That if it didn't happen by this, let's say 6 years from now, you'd feel quite disappointed.
No, for sure. The 1 billion target for our industry is, for me, a 2-3 years stretch goal. We have to aim for that, which is a 3x on our base for the industry globally. We probably need another cycle to get through before we can reach that target, but I think it's something that we should aim for. Okay.
Any final thoughts or anything that you wanted to, that maybe either the questions have not covered, or I didn't bring up, or anything like that? Anything that you wanted to discuss? We have a few more minutes.
For me, being in the space for 4 or 5 years now, I'm always very humble and honored to be able to contribute to this emerging technology trend that I think is changing, and it's going to change even more societies for the better. The ability to let people capture more of the value in a more fair and more equitable manner, whether it's building ecosystem around payment, around gaming, around social networks, and that everybody that participate and grow the network can get some value out of it, can get better control over their data, their money, and their identity. And being able to support that throughout the years, I think is very rewarding. So I just wanted to highlight that. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's nice. Actually, oddly enough, someone just said, what kind of ecosystem is Crypto.com looking to be? So you say something that, working together and building something. So, I guess, thank you very much. It was actually quite informative. Thanks to the people who submitted questions. But yeah, it was great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.